Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video where today we return with round 11 of our F1 Manager 24 My Team Career Mode. Yes, we're back this weekend here for the Austrian GP Sprint Race. Yes, of course, if you missed out on the video that went live last week from Spain, I apologise, I have been a little bit busy, obviously preparing for the Le Mans 24 this weekend on iRacing, so haven't had as much time to sit down and play F1 Manager as I would have wanted there. Things still looking pretty good though at this stage of the campaign. We've got 3 points on the board now by courtesy of another good race by Yuki Tsunoda there. LAWSON still yet to get off the starting blocks, and we're starting just to save up a little bit of money as well to hopefully start bringing some more upgrades to the car, of course. Taking a look at everything else going on though, in terms of the overall standings, Red Bull have a 16-point lead over McLaren. Ferrari's still very, very close as well, and like we said, 7th place for us. 12th for Yuki Tsunoda, obviously just behind Daniel Ricciardo, who's been carrying VCARB so far this year, and you can see, yeah, Albon and Magnussen as well getting out of the starting blocks then. Lawson still in 18th place based on count back there, and fastest pit stop wise we are 8th. Not that I'm so worried about what happens in that championship. Having a look then at F2 and F3. I haven't really looked at these recently. Ollie Behrman is still absolutely dominating in Formula 2 ahead of Isaac Hadjar and Pepe Marti. They're up into P3. And then in Formula 3 as well, it is still Kasper Sutka, who is ahead of Dino Meganovic and Tim Tramnitz as well then. So always interested to see what is going on in the lower formula as well. But yeah, we've got some new aerodynamic testing period beginning now. So we need to start trying to use more of our man hours as best as we can. However, we can now also start testing and researching ready for next season. Unfortunately, it still doesn't look like we've quite got enough money. We're like 30 grand short of being able to do anything like that right now. We haven't even got any new parts manufacturing either. So let's take a look. Yeah, the first car looking absolutely fine. The gearbox is a little bit warm, so I guess we'll put another one in. Yeah, we've already halfway through our gearboxes this year, so I think we might be taking a penalty there. Car number 2, the engine as well, getting a little bit more worn. Austria is a very power-sensitive circuit, so obviously we want a new engine in the car. And again, yeah, everything else looking a-okay. So, yeah, we're just desperate to try and get a little bit more money into the team. Apparently, one of the best ways of doing things is kind of sacrifice Season 1 and obviously take a lot of time out to get the car ready for Season 2. But as we sim forward then towards the Grand Prix weekend as well, hopefully, yeah, we're going to get a little bit more money in the back pocket nice and soon. As apparently, yeah, our contract is going to be ending with Enrico Cardile and Carlo Cristofori. Not so worried about keeping Carlo in, because obviously he's only 75 rated. But Enrico Cardile, yeah, we really do want to try and keep on. So I think we'll try and renew his contract as well. Obviously, we'll just try and wait and see what kind of he's interested in. But yeah, see if we can try and renew his contract pretty soon. That would be nice as well. So we'll offer him a 2-season deal. Don't know if we can try to be a little bit cheeky with his salary. If we bump him down to like 3 million, he's going to take a little bit of a pay cut. And we won't bother. We'll try and make it fairly easy for him to try and obviously stick with the team as well. They will offer him a lump sum bonus as well if he signs on. Although apparently we can't do that because, again, I haven't got enough money at the moment. So we are a little bit awkward, but we'll offer him that contract anyway. We might be about to put ourselves into the negative as well there. So hopefully Cardile will stay with the team. We've got some very good personnel, which is hopefully good as well. But yeah, let's head then here to the Austrian Grand Prix.
Welcome along to the spectacular setting of Austria. Set in the Austrian mountains, the Red Bull Ring offers fantastic views and thrilling racing. Originally built in 1970, the circuit has been part of the F1 season in its current format since 2014.
In this round, the teams have 2 races to contend with both the Sprint and the Grand Prix offering the chance to bag some championship points.
Let's get this underway.
Well, taking a look then as to how the weather's meant to look this weekend, we aren't really seeing any changeable conditions later on as the weekend unfolds there. But of course, yeah, we've got free practice 1, then obviously all of the sprint, and then qualifying, and then the Grand Prix as well. So we haven't got much time to really try and get the car, ready and prepared here. I've got happy memories, though, from this circuit in previous games. I think we saw Oscar Piastri claim our first win back at McLaren at this venue a couple of years ago. It was an absolutely bizarre race, but it was quite funny to kind of obviously see how everything unfolded as well. So, as always, we'll try Yuki on a little bit more of an aerodynamic setup. We'll lean Liam a bit the other way, and we'll try and obviously get the cars prepared there, of course. It is meant to be wet, though, through free practice, but dry throughout the rest of the weekend. So it is going to be difficult to kind of work everything out. I don't know how long the rain's obviously meant to hang around as well in this session. So if you take a look at the track details, the rain is just meant to loom right the way throughout this session. So I guess at least the track conditions are stable. But yeah, I mean, free practice here. It's still obviously incredibly useful to try and get the setup dialed in, but obviously might not quite give us all the right information there. And staggeringly, still a lot of teams opting to run rookies or junior drivers as well there. You can see Ward in the McLaren, Hajar once again in the Red Bull, Colapinto, Chambers, and I believe that might be all of them. Oh no, we got Jack Crawford as well down at Aston Martin. So that seems like quite a gamble by the other teams, especially like we said, you only get the one practice session to really try and get up to speed around this circuit, as everybody else then starting to make a move out onto the track as well there. So things immediately getting very, very busy, and I'm sure, yeah, we're about to see a lot of other drivers go quicker than ourselves there as well. We were right at the top of the running order, but it's not going to last for very long. Not that I ever really, look too much towards the 1-lap pace. Yuki has often been able to carve his way through during Grand Prix as well there. But yeah, qualifying trim has not been our strong point so far this year. So yeah, we'll wait and see as to how we get on with that a bit later on there. Obviously, the shortest track on the calendar in terms of lap time. So we're going to be able to get a lot of laps under our belt this weekend to obviously try and get the car all dialed in. As that's exactly what we're going to do there. Immediately getting a little bit of feedback from Yuki as well, as we'll try and just bring him into a direction he's happy with. And we'll do the same with Liam Lawson as well there. So yeah, definitely not running enough wing on Liam Lawson's car. We'll try that, though, and just kind of see if he's happy with it then. Not a lot of tweaks made, actually, to Lawson, so he's going to be able to get straight back out onto the circuit as well. Of course, timestamps, as always, will be linked down in the comments, down in the description. So obviously you can just move towards, the rest of the weekend if you're already interested in, like, watching the main Grand Prix and things like that. Of course, I know these sprint weekends are going to probably be incredibly long videos as well. But obviously, I do like showcasing everything that F1 Manager has got to offer. I've kind of seen a couple of other people, are like simming through most of the races and that kind of thing. It's not really something I like to do. I like to take you guys on a full journey throughout these games as well. And obviously, like I've always said, the Plays channel is a bit more casual, and I think kind of suits F1 Manager and MotoGP. Obviously, we've kick-started our Moto2 campaign now as well inside that series, which is hopefully going to be good. The first round was quite an interesting one. We learnt a lot. But yeah, it's certainly been an interesting journey so far inside MotoGP 24. But I am enjoying both games we're playing. But of course, obviously, yeah, it is just difficult to try and find the time to do everything that I possibly want as well. There is Lawson then making his way back to the pit lane. Going to try and do one slightly longer run with him right towards the end of the session there. And you can see we're starting to get a better idea of everything he wants with the car. What affects things the best then? It'll be toe angle, won't it? So I think we want slightly less cornering. But obviously we want slightly more aggressive anti-roll bars. I think if we go like that, we're going to be pretty well dialed in with him then. So yeah, I'll have a bit of time right towards the end of the session there as well, as hopefully we'll get Yuki pretty much to the same point with his car as well. As Tsunoda then making his way back towards the garage there. The time's still looking very competitive, actually, by both drivers. We got out nice and early, which did prove quite useful here. There we go. We'll try and do that with Yuki. Bring back down the rear wing. Yeah, and I think that's looking pretty good then with Yuki Tsunoda as well there. So both drivers pretty happy. Both of them doing like a shorter run. And then obviously pitting. And then obviously, yeah, tweaking the car around and everything like that. So, yeah, free practice. I don't believe that, the conditions aren't meant to change a lot. both drivers now pretty confident as well with the, obviously, new upgrades that we brought to the car as well, which is nice. But still, yeah, in desperate need of a bit more cash. But I think I'll go see you guys over in qualifying.
Welcome everyone, qualifying for the sprint awaits us, and we're raring to get going.
Well, here we are then, back down on the grid. Of course, unlike most of the races this season, you know, the data I get from free practice is really, really important because we can't do a lot else with it. Both cars looking pretty good. We've got a little bit too much oversteer still in Yuki's car there, so we'll try and tweak that around a little. I'm trying to remember. It's the... what really will help us with the oversteer on that car? Apparently more wing angle. Would be rather useful, but less rear wing angle, rather interestingly. So not too sure what I'm going to make of that one. Just got to try and get everything dialed in as best as we can there and make sure that we're happy with the car. But yeah, it is very, very difficult to obviously try and fine-tune everything there, especially when we have the cornering pretty optimal. Trying to get everything else tweaked back in the right direction is no easy feat there. We'll try and run... I mean, how little wing do we want to run on this car? I mean, trying to tweak everything around is so difficult. I guess if we go like that, and then we'll try and go like that, might bring us back in line a bit more. I don't really know. We're trying just everything we possibly can there. We'll try and do one more click of front wing. We got a tiny bit too much oversteer there, but I think that car's pretty happy. And then with Lawson as well, then you can see everything is looking pretty good as well. So it's meant to be dry throughout qualifying though, which is hopefully good for us. But ultimately, yeah, I'm hoping that we get both cars into... oh, no, it's not dry. Okay. Oh, right, we need to get out there. So it wasn't telling me it was meant to rain. But we need to try and get out there then as soon as we possibly can. Because this might be a one run and you're done kind of session, a bit like we saw back at Canada a few weekends ago. It's not quite up to the 1 mil. But yeah, with that rain that's meant to be falling pretty soon here, every single car is desperate to try and get out on a run, as someone's brought out the yellow flags almost immediately. But yeah, everybody trying to get started. Then it was actually Magnussen, so I believe that he's going to be Yuki then that is going to start his first lap first. And hopefully he's not going to trip over with the Dane there, as Magnussen trying to make the move back around the outside of the first corner. This is not ideal for us right at the start of the session here. I mean, we will get a nice slipstream off of him as we make our way up the hill. But yeah, Magnussen... and Tsunoda tripping over each other here very early on. Two of Formula 1's feistiest drivers. As you can see there, yeah, Lawson goes 6 tenths quicker through the first sector. So I guess for him, it's really, really critical that we don't get slowed up by these other cars. But if the rain does start to fall pretty quickly, you know, that would be ideal for us there. We want the rain to start falling basically now, to be honest. Because obviously, yeah, if we get the worst track conditions for everybody else... and hopefully we're still going to have a fighting chance there. As I mean, we could have gambled it on the soft compounded tyre, but I don't think it was worth it. His other drivers now making mistakes as well. I believe that's a Merc or an Alpine that's gone off down at turn 1. Sargent, sorry, yeah, locking up.
So here we go, heading into turn 1.
So Sargent, yeah, trying to make his way to start his first lap and immediately just goes straight on.
Just unable to do much about it.
And he'll sit on the exit, of that first corner as well there, as you can see. I think Tsunoda was once again trying to look for a move on Magnussen down in towards the final couple of corners. Those two have really tripped each other up here. As you can see, they're going to dive out of the way. Hopefully, how does Lawson still end up slower in the end there? Not really sure how that all works. Could we afford to gamble them onto a dry set of tyres? I mean, the rain is starting to roll in now. And annoyingly, we are right on the cusp. So we might be in trouble here. Early on in qualifying there. We are. We're both cars down in the drop zone early on in this session because they both tripped over each other. And that has been an absolute disaster then because track conditions changing to damp. We're meant to see the rain just ramp up throughout the rest of sprint qualifying. And we might be in big trouble here. I mean, can we box? I mean, we may as well just get them straight back out there, mightn't we? Try and get them onto the fuel. And yeah, we'll get the fuel back in the car then. And we'll try and get them back out as soon as possible there as everybody else peeling back into the pit lane. So hopefully we'll have a bit more free space, but I'm not expecting these conditions to get any better for us, to be honest. So I think we're going to be in big, big trouble here then, as we'll ride with Yuki Tsunoda about to start his second run. We only need about another half a second out of both drivers, but we might be out in sprint Q1, and that makes any chance of points in the sprint incredibly hard to come by there, as we've got other cars making their way back out into the circuit. So I think a lot of other drivers have had the same idea. Luckily, we'll get around the outside of that Mercedes there, and I think Liam is going to be able to do the same as well there. As what's that split one time by Yuki? He's 3/10 up. Lawson is going to be about 3/10 down, though, so absolute disaster early on. I guess, you know, we'll just see whether Yuki can try and hang on to it. I mean, the fastest times are actually still pretty good, I believe. Don't know what the fastest lap time was by Verstappen, but yeah, we weren't a million miles away from the dry times there, and it's over. It is all over. Yeah, both drivers being held up there by McLaren. I believe it might have been, no, it was Oscar Piastri in the way. And that is going to be both of our laps ruined. May as well get back round to the start-finish line here. But no improvement seen. And with the track just getting worse and worse, I think we're out in Sprint Q1. There's not even enough time, is there? I completely forgot about that as well. I can't remember the last time we saw both cars out in Q1. But it has happened here in Spielberg. And I guess we've just got to head to the Grand Prix. Utter disaster. 19th and 20th. We've got a lot of work to do as the weekend continues.
Well, the excitement levels continue to rise here as the teams prepare for the sprint.
The prospect of bagging a few extra points is certainly going to spur these teams on to fight competitively and finish in the top spots.
So who will reach the peak and who has a mountain to climb here at the Austrian sprint?
What a lovely play on words there by Crofty as we head into Saturday. Luckily, like I said, yeah, the rest of the weekend is meant to stay dry. And as we head into the sprint race, though, I'll be honest, not really holding out much hope. I think it's going to be a very, very difficult race for us. We'll opt for both drivers on the mediums there. Would like to try and keep a set of the hard compound tyres ready for the Grand Prix. Don't believe we're meant to see, yeah, no chance of rain or anything like that as well. So it is going to be a long old claw through this sprint race there. I guess we'll try and go with a bit of extra fuel so both drivers can push on as best as possible as well there. But it is a sprint race. Anything can happen. No real chance to pit or anything like that. We did try it with Liam, I believe, back in Shanghai, and it didn't really work. In terms of car performance as well, then neither driver particularly happy with the car setup they've got. But Liam has 2 optimals, which I guess is good. But yeah, let's try and put qualifying behind us. Let's head into the race.
Here in Austria, we're all ready to go for the sprint. And it's lights out, and away we go.
Well, absolutely no build-up there ready for this sprint race, but we will immediately try and put both cars up into the aggressive push mix, making sure we can try and make some moves in towards that first corner. As you can see already, Lawson losing a place to Zhou Guanyu there, so not the ideal start for the young Kiwi, but hopefully he's going to be able to push quite aggressively here. Looks like we got a pretty even split between the medium and the hard compound runner there. As Zhou really trying to go aggressive at the start of this one. We'll try and use some deploy with both drivers as well. I don't quite know how well the tyres are going to last as we go through this race. And also, yeah, engine temperature is going to be a difficult one to manage. So as we head into the real race, it might be worth opting actually to underfuel both cars a bit. Just because we might then see that obviously we can keep the engine a bit cooler. Obviously extract all of the power out of it. Obviously Austria, very, very high altitude. And I do believe that is kind of simulated inside these games as well. There is Sonoda losing the place to Zhou as well on that one. So would be a bit awkward for us, you know, if Kick Sauber have really kind of caught up in terms of pace. Ricciardo again had a really good qualifying effort there. Bottas as well, looking very, very feisty up towards the front. So we're, you know, for our own personal sake, ideally Sauber don't pick up any points still too early in the year. Obviously, we've seen Haas and Williams get out of the starting blocks. As you can see, a big attempted dive bomb there coming down at turn 1 for Yuki. As we'll try and just get him to push on a bit more aggressively then early on in this race. We'll tell him to go for the overtake aggression. We'll tell him to try and make moves here as he immediately is trying to line back up Zhou Guanyu up towards the top of the hill as well. I mean, Lawson was incredibly close there to clattering into the back of his teammate, but an overtake made. So that's good for Yuki Tsunoda as well then. Building up a little bit of confidence here as Zhou again going to try and come back at us, but we will defend the place and we will move back up then into P18 there. So yeah, I think we're in for a long weekend here. This isn't going to be a track that suits our car particularly well. Generally speaking, this thing has suited the more higher downforce circuits so far this year. There's Lawson there as well, making a move a little bit further behind. So building up that confidence with both drivers early on. Haven't got too much battery to play with, though, early here. So we'll just bring it back down into the neutral there. So, I mean, look at that Tsunoda down the inside of Hulkenberg as well with another aggressive maneuver. So things going pretty well for us early on in the race. We know we can afford to mix and match between those rich revs as well there. But, yeah, as we know, the slipstream very, very potent as well inside F1 Manager. And Alpine do really seem to have shown up this weekend as well there with a bit more of a competitive package. So, yeah, Lawson's still making moves, though, early on in this sprint. Tsunoda now as well, trying to have a look for a move on Kevin Magnussen. Obviously, we already came to blows with him earlier on in the weekend in the qualifying session. But up to P16 then we go. So, nice to see both cars have got a little bit of pace early on. I guess, obviously, we can afford to run the engine pretty hot as well throughout this sprint. You know, just because, obviously, it is a shorter race. So you can try and lean on that a little bit more there. And interestingly, the hard tyre's not working particularly well either, as Lawson now will make a move on Kevin Magnussen. Pretty good little move there by Liam Lawson. We love to see it. And yeah, definitely one of his better races so far this year. So nice to see our second driver is building up some confidence. Gearbox risk of fault, though, is quite high. So we might have to take a gearbox penalty as we head into the Grand Prix. But I guess, you know, we've got to try and gamble it still at this stage of the year. I mean, look at this. Lawson is actually applying pressure to Yuki Tsunoda early on. So this is really, really interesting to see by Liam as well there. As you can see now, both of them will make a move on Pierre Gasly as well. So I think, yeah, this aggressive preset we've gone with both drivers is working quite nicely for us. And it's allowing them both to build up a bit of confidence and work their way ahead of some other cars there. As Lando Norris now are reporting some technical gremlins as well. And Liam Lawson is absolutely shredding his tyres, though. So he's still going to have his work cut out to try and hang on to those by the end of the race. We're now just tucked up in the slipstream. Actually, sorry, we're ahead now of Esteban Ocon. So I think, yeah, as we head into the real Grand Prix qualifying, though, we should at the very least see Yuki make his way into Q2. Luckily as well, it seems that Ricciardo and Albon don't really have the pace to fight with some of the runners a bit higher up the order, as Magnussen has a lock-up down at turn 3 there. And yeah, look at that Tsunoda now all the way up to P13. Lawson just starting to struggle a bit more there. He's slotted back down in about P17 here. But we're going to try and get him to use that last bit of fuel late on in the stint as well there. As, yeah, engine temperature is really, really difficult to try and manage throughout this sprint. I guess we'll try and do the same with Yuki here. See if we can get to Albon before the end of the sprint race as well there. But yeah, it has just been a fairly steady just climb up through the order. We've had good pace. Qualifying clearly was a bit of an outlier here, but ultimately, yeah, trying to have the pace to fight for the top 10 is still going to be rather difficult. Lawson's tyres now looking pretty wrecked, though, as we're about to start the last lap of the Grand Prix. And like I said, we are slightly worried as well about that engine. Lawson actually got lapped in the end, which is quite shocking in a sprint race there. So I think, yeah, Max Verstappen just got away in the end. I'll be honest, I thought the game would warn us that Verstappen has started the last lap, but apparently it doesn't in the sprint race here. But the Dutchman takes the win. What was the gap? 10 seconds clear of Oscar Piastri at the end, so absolutely dominant display there by him. And I haven't been concentrating with Yuki. So we might run out of fuel before the end of this one, which is not ideal. Please don't say we're going to bottle this. I mean, luckily we're not going to be in the shot for points anyway, or anything like that. But, Tsunoda even desperately trying to save fuel in towards the final couple of corners of this Grand Prix. Please say he's going to have enough to get round to the flag. Don't say I'm going to embarrass myself in the sprint. Lawson making his way through. Come on, man. Get to the line. No, he's not. I've run out of fuel in the sprint race. That was stupid. Should have probably been concentrating on him a little bit more there, as we're going to drop all the way down to P17. But luckily, he's still going to beat all those cars that are a lap down. And I guess we're hiding some of our pace from the rest of the field. I'm more confident there than the final result will show. I think we've got some good pace as we head into the rest of the weekend.
Yuki Tsunoda ends up without any points after that sprint.
They'll be disappointed to have not even finished the sprint here today.
And there we go then, taking a look at your final results. Yeah, Verstappen absolutely dominated that one in what was a fairly undramatic sprint race there. Piastri got the jump on Perez with Leclerc getting ahead of Norris and Carlos Sainz. And then it was both your Aston Martins rounding out your point scorers there. No major shocks in the sprint.
There's tension in the air today, so it must be time for qualifying.
Spielberg's short track comes with 2 high-speed straights. It might be tempting to prioritise low downforce here, but teams risk losing time when cornering if they do.
Karun, don't you think it's going to be interesting to see what happens for the Alpine driver today?
It hasn't been a great showing from the team's drivers so far. Neither will want to be left behind, and I'm sure they'll both be looking to pull ahead today.
So get yourselves comfortable. It's going to be quite the ride.
Well, there we go. I thought I'd get a chance to have a look at the point standings, but apparently not there at the end of the sprint. So we kind of just got thrown straight into qualifying as well. But I guess we'll get an opportunity, obviously, just to tweak the car setups once again there. Now we've got a better idea of everything we're looking for. I'm going to try and get these absolutely perfect. I want to try and get as many optimal scores as I possibly can. And I think with Yuki, that's looking immediately pretty good as well there. Liam, he's just got a little bit less braking stability, but I don't really know in what direction to take that. Obviously, we need to have the traction, though, still in that car. So I guess we'll try that, see if it works for him. But yeah, let's head out then into real qualifying. Hopefully, we'll get both cars into Q2 this time. Because, yeah, the sprint qualifying was an absolute disaster there. I assume there's no chance of rain or anything like that. Yep, it is meant to be a bone-dry circuit as we head into real qualifying. And, of course, yeah, we've got a load of sets of soft compound tyres as well. So we'll see plenty of time to get plenty of runs on the board there. Of course, first and foremost, is just about trying to make sure that we get the cars out in some clean space as well there. So as Yuki, starts his first lap, he's going to get ahead of the Williams. As the Williams there, I think, just tried to cover him off down in towards turn 1. Luckily, I think LAWSON is going to have even more breathing room a little bit further behind. But a decent first sector there, 16.8 by Yuki. Like I said, he will kind of be the big priority to make sure that we definitely get him into Q2. Because obviously, yeah, with a few other drivers with potential mechanical issues, you know, I think we could be in with a shot of points today. You know, Ricciardo seemed to struggle a bit more in that sprint race as well there, the likes of Bottas and Albon as well. Not quite delivering to their full potential as LAWSON, yeah, less than a tenth away through Sector 1. This seems to be a nice track for him. He seems to be working pretty well here and able to operate closer to his teammate over, you know, both in one lap race and over a race distance. I think the only problem we've still got with Liam is that he does tend to struggle a bit more on the tyres still, so we might try and figure out a way we can manage his tyres a bit better. As there we go, flying that complete for Yuki. 3/4 of a second away from the from George Russell there, but only 1/4 of a second away from Lewis Hamilton. So as LAWSON makes his way up towards the line as well, he's going to go a little bit slower, but not much in it. That might be good enough to see both cars straight into Q2. Got yellow flags out then right towards the end of Q1. Not too sure. Oh, no, we've had a crash. We've had a crash. Oh, no. Of course it's Magnussen. What's he done? On a lap, up behind Zhou Guanyu, I believe that might be. He's tried to have a look, and they've collected each other. That might be Q1 ruined for us. And especially, yeah, with Liam Lawson down in the drop zone right now, this might be very, very difficult here, as Yuki's going to have nice clear air to go for one final run. Ricciardo's actually now gone ahead of Lewis Hamilton as well. So it looks like Hamilton, yeah, really, really struggling around a track that he's never actually had a lot of luck at in previous years. Yuki first sector, though. He's fractionally down, but it doesn't look like he's going to lose any time up the top of the hill there. So that's quite good. Yellow flags have come back in. As Magnussen, I mean, surely that's going to be a grid drop. How is that not a penalty? He ran straight into the back of him. Not too sure how that all works out, but maybe this will present an opportunity for Liam Lawson there. Again, ever so slightly down in that first sector, but yeah, Yuki is guaranteed safely through and into Q2. I just want to see Liam Lawson try and gain a little bit more time there. He needs about a tenth and a half. He's well back in that fight to be into Q2, but you know, we know how important track position can be as well there, and with both Williams looking pretty strong, Alpine as well, seemingly able to deliver this weekend. Lawson is just not improving right now. He's still a couple of tenths down on Yuki in Sector 1 and Sector 2. He will improve and go back ahead of Hulkenberg, though, in P12. But will Liam Lawson be able to get himself off the back row of the grid here? He's not improving at the moment, and he's not going to find any more time. Lawson, once again, is out in Q1. And, I mean, the margins are razor thin between everybody, but he just lacks that out-and-out pace over one lap, and it is so frustrating to see. Well, obviously, I'm not expecting Yuki Tsunoda to make it into Q3 unless we see absolute chaos for some of the other drivers there, but it would be quite nice if we could go ahead of Daniel Ricciardo here as we head into Q2 then. So Yuki's just going to have to try and find every last little bit of pace he's got in that car. We're looking for like a mid-16 to a high 16 for a first sector split. And that is going to be a 16.8 again there, so he's very, very consistent. Admittedly, that first sector is basically just one corner. But yeah, Yuki Tsunoda there, he just is able to find that little bit more in a final qualifying lap. And I can't help but feel that, yeah, had Lawson just got a couple more tenths in the back pocket, you know, he would have seen himself into Q2, and it just helps build that confidence. I don't know whether we can try and get him to do, like, qualifying practice behind the scenes. But yeah, it's really, really frustrating for him at the moment. It's a 28.6 through Sector 2. We got Hulkenberg just in front of us, who is setting benchmark times as well right now. So hopefully we're going to be able to go quicker than the German once again, because he was looking pretty good as well. They ended up P13 just behind ourselves and Danny Rick there. Is Hulkenberg up towards the line? He's going to do a 4.4. We're going to do a 4.5, so actually a 4.6 in the end. So a couple of tenths away. But we did do that on a scrub set of tyres. I want to save a couple of fresh sets ready for the race, but his last run is going to be on new softs. Yuki Tsunoda then, the last car onto a run here. Ratomo Miata has gone quickest of the back markers. Nope, that has immediately been trounced by Daniel Ricciardo as he gets towards the line, but we've got one final fresh set of the tyres for Yuki, and he immediately is going to find a little bit more through Sector 1. We need about 0.4 of a second, ideally. Yeah, don't see ourselves getting into Q2 there. Just a big enough gap between Russell and Stroll. So once again, as we head into the races, it looks like we're just going to be trying to rely on some mechanical issues for other drivers there. As Verstappen, half a second clear of anybody else. He is just so quick around the Red Bull ring. He's always got that little bit more over anybody else there. It's a 28.5 by Yuki through Sector 2. He's again just finding a little bit more time here. At the moment, it looks like we could be square between Hulkenberg and Ratomo Miata. So he just needs to be brave through these final couple of corners. It is such a short lap here around Spielberg. It is done in a flash, but Yuki Tsunoda up towards the line. Is he going to improve? Yes, he does. And we go P11. Gutted to miss out on Q3, but to be best of the rest we can be rather happy with. That gives us a chance to fight as we head into the Grand Prix.
Here among the mountains in Austria, the teams are preparing for the 71 laps of today's race.
4 years on from the circuit being renamed to the Red Bull Ring, Max Verstappen became the first driver to bring an eponymous car to victory here in 2018.
Spielberg's challenges are all about overtaking. The DRS zones here mean passing is very possible, especially if your tyres are in a better condition than the next cars. But get caught out having to manage less than fresh tyres? You could be a sitting duck. The excitement is building, there's electricity in the air. But there's no surprise in that, it's race day.
Well, as we take a look then towards the Austrian Grand Prix, 71 laps ahead of us, it is a big, big race. And I think today we could afford to try and go quite aggressive there. The team want us to try and do medium, hard with Yuki. I think, though, with Lawson, we're going to opt for like a 3 or a 4 stop strategy here. What we're going to try and do is start him on the mediums, get into like lap 20. Then we're going to try and use some soft compound tyres in this Grand Prix. So we're going to try and go softs to about lap 35? Lap 36? Go to another set of softs to hopefully try and take him to about lap 50 odd. And then we'll try and take some hards to the end of the race again there. So it's an aggressive preset with Liam. But I think it could work out quite nicely for us. Of course, you know, there's always a chance of a safety car, always the chance for a red flag as well around this circuit. Grip is continuing to rise there as the Grand Prix goes on. So let's wait and see what we can do as we head into the race there. It's an aggressive strategy by Liam Lawson, But ultimately, yeah, I don't think he's going to be in the fight for points unless we get some craziness here. Yuki, we just want to be a little bit more sensible with him. I'm going to remember to take a bit of fuel out of both cars as well, ready for the start of the Grand Prix. Yuki will go -3 laps. Liam will go -2, because, of course, yeah, he's going to have to push on a little bit more later on in the race. And I guess we'll tell both drivers as well to be aggressive off the start here as well. So we'll go pace mode high, we'll go full usage high, and we'll go ERS attack mode as well with Yuki there. Maybe he can get inside the top 10, but honestly, I think today it's just going to be about seeing whether other cars run into mechanical issues, but hopefully we can have some fun.
Final checks are being carried out by the teams, and it won't be long until we get this race underway. And plenty of people watching on will be keen to follow Fernando Alonso's progress.
They find themselves starting in P7 and eyeing up a handful of points.
But remember, anything can happen in Formula One. The crowd are ready, the cars are ready. It's the Austrian Grand Prix. And it's lights out, and away we go.
Well, Red Bull locked out the front row in both the sprint and the real Grand Prix there, but are we going to see Max Verstappen take yet another win? I'm not a betting man, but if I was, I think, yeah, I'd be voting for him today to likely take the crown there. As immediately we're trying to go around the outside of George Russell at that first corner. I'm just hoping we can try and get ourselves in the mix with some of these faster cars there. So look at this, everybody 2 by 2 as we make our way up the hill on this opener. Daniel Ricciardo, a huge dent to the inside, but he's pulled it off. And the Australian there makes us look like an absolute fool as he will make it through and up into P8 then off the start. Round the outside of Lance Stroll, we're going to have to try and go as we make our way towards the top of the hill there. And we will complete the move and get ourselves back up inside the top 10 there. But Ricciardo, what an audacious move at the start of this GP there. You don't see moves like that very often in Formula 1. But immediately, yeah, we just got to try and settle down at the start of this race. There is Stroll again, immediately trying to look to get back past us. But yeah, I'm expecting to see Ricciardo drop back pretty quickly, just like we saw in the sprint race here. Lawson, yeah, not the ideal start for him. And his gearbox is looking pretty worn out as well. So I think we're going to tell him just, you know, it might well be a bit of a write-off for Liam once again here. But how many times have I said that so far in this campaign? There is already Stroll trying to look back past Tsunoda down in towards that first corner. Slipstream DRS is very, very important around this track, so if we can just hang with him, that'd be rather useful here. Verstappen's opted to start on the hards. Leclerc, on the other hand, has opted to start on the soft compound tyre, so not really too sure what's going on there. As oh my, that was incredibly close. No idea why Stroll was parked on the apex up at the top of the hill. Yeah, almost running into the back then of the Canadian early on. Like I said, Ricciardo is going to be the interesting one. He's gone rather aggressive off the start of this race. But might already just be dropping back from Fernando Alonso there. So he could drop back into our clutches. You know, if we could just keep, for example, you like Miata, Russell, Stroll and ourselves nice and close together there. That could set us up really nicely to kind of go deep into the Grand Prix. It's not too sure how fuel usage is going to be here. We're going to opt to try and cool that engine down early on. But we want to try and make sure that we stay in the range of Lance Stroll as well here. So yeah, we're going to opt, obviously, just to try and stay out of trouble and stay with the Canadian here, as we'll just have the DRS again out of that final corner. Yeah, you can already see Ricciardo then dropping out of the range of Alonso in front of him. So yeah, Ricciardo's heroics on lap 1 there might not be working as well as he would have wanted. We're not really able to save much fuel, though, early. He's already trying to make a move then on Lance Stroll up at the top of the hill. That's going to be a nice, simple one. And back up then into the top 10 there is Esteban Ocon reporting of a mechanical fault as well. Like I said, for us, a lot of today is really just dependent on whether we see Stroll have issues as well, or, of course, chaos up and down the order. But yeah, Verstappen just able to keep his teammate at bay there. Is everybody bunching up? Russell is really struggling as well. Now losing the place to Rotoma Miata. But yeah, just trying to get that engine cool in the back of the second car. And unfortunately, yeah, for us, though, I don't really think staying ahead of Stroll is going to be beneficial here. I think if we can just stay behind him. So there we go. We've got that engine down into its comfortable operating window. So it's going to be about 113, 114 degrees here. Is going to be critical. Let's look at that. Stroll trying to defend from Yuki again. everybody got to be careful up at the top of the hill. But like I said, I don't think it's worth fighting too hard here. We don't want to let Ricciardo get too far away early on in this race. As you can see, they're again trying to make the move on the Canadian here. But yeah, just trying to use that DRS, that slipstream, to our advantage here early on. Stroll now just able to break away ever so slightly. But yeah, staggered to see Russell struggling as badly as he is. I mean, we've kind of seen it with Mercedes this season. They are often one of the weaker links. But yeah, we are luckily just bringing the fuel in the right direction as well there. Lawson I want to take to about lap 20. Yuki, I feel like we can get a couple of extra laps under his belt as well. But yeah, it is an old race here as well. Stroll going very slowly. What's happened to Lance Stroll then? He was just going nowhere off the top of the hill. I think it might have just been on the mini-map there, but an aggressive move down the inside. Yuki Tsunoda then back up inside that top 10. And I think, yeah, Stroll is not fun today then. So we got to try and push on, get inside that range of the car in front. Don't know how well the harder tyres are going to work throughout this race, but I guess we'll try and push on a little bit. See if we can get inside the range of Daniel Ricciardo here. Just try and work that gap down and keep the Australian close by. Already had someone into the pit lane though. Not too sure. No, that's obviously, yeah, no one's boxed just yet then. Yeah, starting to trip over again with Lance Stroll here. Like I said, we've just got to try and work to get inside that range of Ricciardo. Even if it's not us directly behind him, at least just get him back in this group, which we will do. So it could be worth trying to go for a slightly earlier box as well then, as yeah, Ricciardo now has been fully caught and captured here by the rest of this group. So yeah, with Russell still struggling, I think we could be in the fight here throughout the long run. I'm going to wait a couple more laps before we dive Liam into the pit lane. But yeah, then we're going to try and go one lap later with Yuki as well. They're just trying to cool back down that engine. Seems like the AI as well could be very, very affected by the slipstream and everything like that from each other as well. So it is very, very interesting to see how things are panning out here. As we're going to dive Liam then into the pit lane onto that set of the soft compound tyre. So yeah, onto the softs he'll go this lap for Liam Lawson there. He's just struggling a little bit still at the rear of the field. So we'll try and just see how OP that undercut is. I guess luckily for Liam as well, he's not going to do every lap of this Grand Prix. Yuki's probably as well is going to end up a lap down by the end of the afternoon. So I guess we can afford to go a little bit more aggressive on the fuel, unless we see a safety car or something like that. But yeah, Ricciardo dropping away then at this stage of the race. We're still just trying to save a little bit of fuel again with Yuki, trying to cool back down that engine and keep trying to do good things with it. But yeah, Lawson then hopefully is going to come out just behind Leclerc. Obviously, admittedly, a lap down, but hopefully then he's going to have to deal with too many blue flags. And that might work out nicely if we've got a few other drivers trying to go a bit longer into the Grand Prix there. 2.7 seconds stop is not particularly one to write home about. Normally this season we're aiming for about 2.5. But yeah, Liam then coming back out onto the circuit. He's just going to be able to try and work those tyres nicely into his second stint there. But yeah, most of our focus, I think, once again, is probably going to be on Yuki Tsunoda here, trying to keep up with the likes of Russell and Stroll on their quicker cars. Pit stop issue for Bottas. That one's hardly a shock. Sauber still, yeah, have got their pit stops from real life in this game. Do we? It looks to just be that they're hugging the car. No idea what that was. Maybe having to top back up with pneumatic fluid as well. But yeah, Alonso into the pit lane then, so he's still going to come out in front of us. That goes to show just how quick that car is. But we're going to try and go for the undercut then on George Russell and Lance Stroll here. So a little bit aggressive. Interested to see what times Lawson's able to do as well. Last lap time for the second car. I think, obviously, yeah, that was still his pit out lap, wasn't it? But as he comes towards... Oh, no, that was... sorry, that's Bottas, isn't it? Liam Lawson, he's running like 4 seconds clear of those cars in front. So this works out really nicely for him. He's going to be able to do some good work on those tyres. We've got Yuki back down into the range as well. Yep. But yeah, just trying to make sure that we're still saving some fuel with him there. But yeah, diving into the pit lane then at the end of this lap. Hopefully... We're going to see Hamilton in, but yeah, Stroll and Russell opting to stay out there. So maybe we can go for a little bit of an undercut. As a mechanical gremlin being picked up. Yep, not happy with the engine braking there of that car, as Lawson's actually struggling to get the tyres up to temperature, which is rather interesting. So we might have to try and get Yuki just to push on quite aggressively on this outlap here if we want to stay ahead of Danny Rick. But yeah, very, very interesting in that. Austria is a weird and wonderful circuit. And clearly, obviously, with all those straights, means that we're not pushing through as much tyre temperature as we'd hoped to. We'll try and go aggressive then, try and get these tyres up to temperature again. As you can see, yeah, slowly able to build back up there. And a decent outlap then for Yuki Tsunoda as well. As we just try and keep Ricciardo at bay. Yellow's coming out temporarily. As where is Stroll? So Stroll and Hamilton now battling as well. Ricciardo had a lockup down at turn 1.
So heading into turn 1 here.
Don't believe it cost him too much time.
The car fails to respond. By that point, it was just too late.
Yeah, able to get back on the road in a bit better fashion than we saw from Sargent in qualifying. But I guess we've got a bit of breathing room there from Danny Rick as well. 7 seconds now. As hopefully, there we go, Stroll and Russell into the pit lane at the end of that lap. So are we going to get out ahead of them? We are still close, but not quite close enough here. And Yuki reporting just some gremlins on the powertrain, on the engine side of things. This is where things get really, really difficult for us at this stage of the race there. We know Stroll has got issues as well. But it is now just a case of trying to hang on over these next few laps there. As what tyres? So yeah, everybody has opted for hards as well. As we're just starting to get closer to getting lapped as well. So got to be a bit careful to make sure we let sort of Verstappen by in a good spot. There we go, on the exit of turn 1. Unfortunately, we didn't quite claim the DRS there, which was a little bit silly. But yeah, these hard tyres should be able to go quite deep into the Grand Prix. Lawson as well, that undercut did work nicely for him. Up into P18. I've set his race target to 19th here to give ourselves a bit of a cash bonus. So I think Yuki's got to try and finish P15. But yeah, we're obviously trying to make sure that we get those cash bonuses. So at this stage of the series, it seems better to obviously set a weaker bonus and obviously make sure that we guarantee it rather than trying to go too aggressive. Maybe getting a little bit more cash, but ultimately, yeah, not able to achieve it very often. So I think, yeah, Lawson's going to be back in probably within the next couple of laps as well. There, you can just see the gap really opening up now between ourselves and the cars in front. So Lawson, we're going to dive in. We're going to opt, yeah, for that fresh set of the soft compound tyres again. But ultimately, he hasn't been able to go as far as we would have wanted. So, yeah, not ideal there as Lawson. Hopefully, we're going to see him peel into the pit lane. Yep, there we go. So Lawson, yeah, in for his second stop at the Grand Prix there, as every single car has made at least one. But ultimately, yeah, we're just trying to allow him to go quite aggressive and also giving the team some pit stop training as well there. Like I said, I'm not too worried about the DHL fastest pit stops or anything like that. But if we can score some points, if we can, you know that we can rely on the team in the future, then it would be quite nice as well. There is another 2.7 again. Nothing particularly special at this stage of the campaign there. But he's going to come back out in last place then. And yeah, he's really just trying to do his own work right now. As yeah, Yuki still just sat in that 11th place then. So we're just hoping that something happens to Stroll at some point here. Or, one of the other drivers a bit further up. But ultimately, yeah, we're kind of just sat in a bit of no man's land at this stage of the race. Waiting to see how things pan out there. As Russell now as well reporting a mechanical fault on that Mercedes. So there is still potential by the end of the race for other drivers to have issues. Ricciardo is really pushing on his on his harder compounded tyres as well. So he's trying to take time out of Yuki here, but it's not really working for him. Tsunoda, yeah, is really just in some no man's land at this stage of the race. As we get towards his pit window again there, I think we're going to have to box Liam even, just beforehand. Yeah, things are really just settling down at this stage of the Grand Prix then. I mean, 25 laps on a set of hards. Lawson should be able to go to the end now pretty comfortably on those tyres. He's up into P17 though, so this strategy hasn't worked out too badly for him up to this stage. And we'll try and do the same then with Yuki one lap further on. So I think, yeah, for Liam Lawson, it is a bit more about obviously just staying out of trouble and able to get some good laps in himself. Ricciardo's dived in, so I think he's trying to go for the undercut on Yuki here, which we're not really going to allow to happen. So as Lawson dives in, he's going to be back out in P20. Yuki as well then into the pit lane at the end of that lap. So where is Alex Albon here? He's actually done quietly quite well as well as he makes his way through that final corner. So he's going to be up into P11 temporarily. We should still be ahead of Ricciardo, though, who I think, yeah, is really, really struggling, actually, at this stage of the afternoon. So not looking good for Danny Rick, who's opted for mediums. So he's trying to go aggressive to recover this race there. It's been quite a surprisingly weak Grand Prix by the Australian there, as, yeah, Tsunoda will come out comfortably still ahead of him and actually in a pretty good spot to try and go to the end of the afternoon then. We'll just go attack mode on the tyres once again. I don't know how much fuel we can afford to be under still by the end of the race, as we're still only one lap down, but admittedly, yeah, Verstappen is not that far behind. I think Lawson should be good because, of course, he's going to be 2 laps down. It might even be 3 by the end. But, yeah, Yuki, I'm getting a little bit concerned. We're still going to have to try and save some fuel towards the end of the race. But obviously, I'm not going to worry until we get a safety car. Or, obviously, we're too late to get a safety car or anything like that here. As hopefully, Albon's going to be back into the pit lane pretty soon. So we will re-inherit that P11 position as well. But yeah, everybody just starting to struggle as well, as Hamilton has a lock-up down for turn 3.
Now this was at turn 3.
All by himself then.
And there's the lockup. What caused that, I wonder?
Yeah, Lewis Hamilton there just struggling to find the limits in his Mercedes. It looks like once again, you know, they just have not had the pace to fight against Aston Martin here. But again, for us, it looks like at the moment... Oh, that's a shame for Alex. I do like Alex Albon in this game. He was a bit of a threat last time out in Spain, but I do still like him inside F1 Manager. As on to a set of the mediums, and a bit like we saw with Sauber earlier on. Just there, clearly wanting to give the car a bit of a hug. Like I said, maybe have to top up some pneumatic fluid as well. But yeah, you can see P11 still for us with 16 seconds. Behind Hamilton in front. Ricciardo, the gap is staying fairly level as well behind. So we got yellow. Hulkenberg's gone for a spin. No safety car. That is gutting. I just want something to make the race a bit interesting towards the end, as he's going to let Oscar Piastri by. And he's going to put himself in the gravel trap. I'm impressed he's able to get that back out of that gravel as well there. So, yeah, disappointment for Haas on another weekend where they've just really lacked the pace against ourselves or VCarb here. But... oh, I've accidentally left Yuki pushing on those tyres as well. But, yeah, we're just going to monitor the gap then towards the end of the race there. Like I said, I think Liam should be fine in terms of fuel. But, yeah, Yuki is still pushing on a little bit too aggressively there. Now he's going to go 2 laps down. So I think we should be safe as, yeah, those mechanical gremlins are getting worse and worse for Yuki Tsunoda here. But 15 laps to go. Bottas is going to be our first retirement of the day. Obviously, we don't get to watch it, unfortunately, there. But, yeah, Bottas out of the race there. As Lawson still, he's only 2 seconds back from Pierre Gasly here. He's not looking bad still and could get back a bit of P18 late on in the afternoon. But, yeah, the gap, Ricciardo, that gap is coming down towards the end of the afternoon. And I think Tsunoda is really, really starting to struggle here as we've got a virtual safety car. Not too sure what's caused that. I can't see anybody that's gone. Ricciardo's still right behind us. DRS is disabled. So Sargent's gone off at turn 10. How on earth has he binned it there then? Very odd spot to go. Oh, big damage though. Big damage on that Williams there. He hasn't been able to scroll off much speed at all trying to get into the pit lane. As disappointment there for Williams then later on in the day. And that's going to be him out. We're going to take the opportunity to try and box Liam. No, sorry, that's Yuki, isn't it? I don't want to box him. We'll box Liam Lawson onto a set of the mediums to see him through to the checkered flag. Where is, I suppose we could try and do the same with Yuki as well. Take a set of softs to the end. If that VSC is going to stay out. I mean, we haven't got that many laps to go of the Grand Prix. Ricciardo's closing in. And I think, yeah, unless something else crazy happens, we're not really going to be able to do a lot else here. So Lawson into the pit lane then once more. Hopefully we'll get a nice, clean, tidy stop by him. 2.8. Yuki into the pit lane as well. Soft compound tyres going on the second car. 2.9. So yeah, really not able to deliver there. But yeah, hopefully then towards the end we're going to be pretty racy. Hopefully we're going to be able to take the time out of Daniel Ricciardo, I hope. But yeah, the car is wounded. We are really struggling now. I think if we can get back ahead of Albon, it's not going to be much of a concern. Because I think ultimately, yeah, we were struggling to really kind of match some of those other cars there. I should have taken that chance to save more fuel as well, though. So yeah, Lawson pretty much back to neutral fuel anyway, despite the fact he's going to finish a couple of laps down here. But not many laps to go then of this race. Verstappen's still absolutely dominating it out front. I'm staggered they haven't thrown a safety car for this. But 10 laps to go now, and we are going to be able to push back on then. So we'll leave him, Yuki, on the fuel. Lawson is perfect now, so he can afford to push on towards the end as well, and hopefully gain a couple more spots before this race is down and out then. But no, the VSC, has the VSC come in? I think the VSC has finally come in. It's very, very odd still inside this game, the way the virtual safety car works there, as Miata now reporting a fault as well. But VSC, there we go, green flags are now out, so Yuki's got to try and get the run on Alex Albon pretty quickly here. Hopefully we'll be able to move back up, but I think, yeah, we just haven't quite got the pace still at this stage of the day, and with those technical gremlins as well, not seemingly able to take anything out of Alex Albon here late on in the day. We'll try and go full aggression towards the end here and full deploy as well. Maybe we can do something there as, yeah, just getting a little bit caught out, able to let other cars lap us. If we end up with Russell retiring towards the end of this and Ricciardo gets a point, I'm going to be really, really gutted with that. As Albon, yeah, will let another car by. But, yeah, can we even push on with the overtake mode to try and get back past him? Here we go. 3 laps to go then of this race. Going to try and make the move work on Alex Albon back down towards turn 1. But he's got so much straight line speed in that car. Luckily, the battery usage will come in handy here. And I mean, we are 2 laps down now on Verstappen as well. Lawson's back up into P18. So he's got the jump on Hulkenberg. I mean, the 4-stop strategy is a rather aggressive one. But he might also be able to get to Gasly by the end of the afternoon. So I'm going to tell him to push on towards the end of the race there. But as long as none of those cars further in front have a mechanical issue, I don't think we're going to worry too much about finishing behind Ricciardo once again. You know, like I said, we took a gamble to go aggressive on the tyres here. But ultimately, yeah, I don't think it's quite going to pay off before this race is done and dusted there. As final lap we go then, Max Verstappen, it has been another dominant display. I mean, only 3 cars are on the lead lap here, I believe, come the end of the afternoon, though. It's a few more than that. So, yeah, Verstappen there, he's lapped everyone that isn't in a Red Bull, a Ferrari, or a McLaren. So it has once again been a dominant display by him. Tsunoda's actually lost the place to Alex Albon again there, which is a little bit gutting towards the end of the race. But how are we doing with Liam then? He's closing in still onto the back of Pierre Gasly. Would like to see him get that jump into the final lap there. So we're going to tell him to go full out aggression and try and make that move happen here on the final lap of the race. Maybe just build up a little bit more confidence as well. There is Sainz now, mechanical fault late on in the day. How far behind is Liam Lawson here? Is Tsunoda now onto the last lap as well? So I think, yeah, Albon and Tsunoda are taking time out of Ricciardo right towards the end of this one. There's more and more mechanical faults being reported elsewhere. Are we going to see Lawson, though, able to make a move on the last lap of the Grand Prix there and maybe move back up into P17 here? We're going to just give him a little bit of a moment in the spotlight here because he has had a decent little race on a rather aggressive alternate strategy here. Verstappen, to the surprise of no one, 35 seconds clear come the end of the afternoon. He is going to take the win here in Austria, but as we make our way through the final couple of corners, are we going to be able to get the run on Gasly up towards the line courtesy of Liam Lawson? He's going to be so close on the run. It's not going to be enough though. Lawson will come through in P18 when all is said and done, but I think he will still get his bonus as well there from the race. Annoyingly for us, we took a gamble on the softs. Mechanical Gremlin set in for Yuki, though, really did cost him towards the end of the day. It's P13 and P18, but luckily, once again, none of our rivals able to score points either.
Yuki Tsunoda makes his way back after the events of that race.
And with a 13th place finish, that sadly means there's no points to be claimed.
Well, Max Verstappen can add yet another podium to his already impressive record.
It almost feels like it doesn't need saying after a 7th win, but another stunning performance today.
Well, there were mountains to overcome here in Austria, but those 3 managed to climb to the top. Well, Karun, how do you think they'll be feeling in the team garage at the end of that?
Well, it was a bit of a mixed bag here. Some things went their way, but others didn't. I think their main target now will be finding some consistency for sure.
And that's it for this weekend here in Austria.
For the next round, we're heading back to the heart of the UK. Get ready for a race to remember in Silverstone, the cradle of Formula One.
Well, there we are then, the end of the Austrian Grand Prix, and like we said, Max Verstappen, we always knew he was going to dominate that, didn't we? And 25 points on the board for the Dutchman there will once more open up his lead in the Drivers' Championship. Lando Norris, though, P3 with fastest lap, means he only loses like 9 points to his main title rival there. And Carlos Sainz, just a genuinely good drive to come through for P2 in the end there. Perez, Piastri, Leclerc, and then with both Astons and both Mercs rounding out your top 10. I mean, the Mercs 2 laps down come the checkered flag there. That was a really, really disappointing race for them. Tsunoda ultimately dropped back from his qualifying, but like we said, we took a gamble late on in the day. It didn't really matter when all is said and done there. And Lawson making up some ground as well. He was actually pretty decent today, able to make some moves and hopefully build up some confidence as well there. That means in terms of the championship, Verstappen now up to a nice, comfortable 250 points. 38 clear of Lando Norris there. Still both Ferraris in third and fourth place. They're ahead of Piastri and Sergio Perez. Hamilton will get the jump on Russell as they are now tied on 23 points apiece. And no one else moving in the championship order either. Constructors-wise, though, Red Bull now with a 30-point lead over McLaren, who have got a 32-point lead over Ferrari. And yes, still the gaps further down, staying absolutely level. Fastest pit stop awards, absolutely nothing to write home about there for us. We were pretty poor this weekend, as McLaren still at the top of that table there. And I think we've been relegated. No, we're still in P8 for now, but 3 points ahead of Williams. And I think we could end up finishing that championship in last by the end of the year. There's some pretty mediocre pit stops throughout, 2.7s across the board. I think the team are going to have to do a little bit more work later on in the year. Thank you all so much for watching, though. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure to leave a like, get yourself subscribed, and we'll be back very soon when Formula One returns ready at Silverstone for the British Grand Prix.